What would you do if every choice you made determined your survival? In a city reduced to rubble, one woman dares to write the truth. But some truths are too dangerous to be told. The film begins with a journalist writing about the terrible events of the war in her diary. She keeps her name a secret and is called Anona. As she writes, the story moves back to 1945, near the end of World War II. The Soviet Union is attacking Berlin, only 45 miles away, to take over the city. On that day, Anona says goodbye to her husband, who is a high-ranking Nazi officer. After he leaves, she meets her wealthy friends at a party. They talk about the war, believing Germany will still win, even though danger is near. Suddenly, a loud explosion interrupts them, and they run for safety. The scene shows the destruction of Nazi Germany, with buildings destroyed by bombing. Anona and other frightened people hide in an underground bunker. The bunker is full of women, children, and older people, all trying to escape the bombings. Anona sees familiar faces, including nobles who have lost loved ones in the war. Everyone is scared. In one corner, a woman struggles to breathe after being exposed to chemicals. Watching this, Anona realizes how much the war has hurt everyone. She drinks some water and decides to write down everything for her husband, who is far away. Later, during a short break in the fighting, Soviet soldiers take over the streets looking for Germans. They tell German soldiers to give up, but the Nazis refuse and fight back. From windows and balconies, they shoot at the Soviet troops, killing some. But the Soviets are too strong and win quickly. A Soviet officer, Major Andrei Rybkin, is told to stop advancing toward the Reichstag. In the confusion, a Soviet soldier finds the civilians hiding in the bunker. Anona, who speaks many languages, tries to distract the soldier by talking in Russian, but it doesn't work. The soldiers force the women out of hiding. Anona steps outside and sees the streets filled with celebrating Soviet soldiers. The women face taunts and rude looks from the Soviet soldiers, making them feel very scared. Anona runs back to the bunker and sees a young girl from Silesia being hurt. Secretly, she gives the girl keys to her old penthouse and tells her to escape. Soon after, Anona sees another terrible scene. A Soviet soldier is pulling a German woman into an empty room. Anona tries to help by distracting the soldier, and the woman runs away. Now alone with the soldier, Anona stays calm. She tricks him into entering a dark room, locks him inside, and escapes. Still shaken, Anona goes to Major Andrei and begs him to stop the abuse. He dismisses her coldly, saying his soldiers are clean and healthy and can do whatever they want. Feeling hopeless, she returns to the bunker but is grabbed by another soldier. This time she cannot get away. Later, Anona finds safety with a kind German widow who lets her stay in an apartment filled with other survivors. While talking, one woman warns that the Soviets plan to kill all the Germans. Their conversation is interrupted when Soviet soldiers burst into the building to take the women. Chaos follows as people try to escape. But Anona, too tired and hopeless, stays still. The soldiers find her and abuse her along with the other women. This abuse becomes a daily nightmare for Anona and the others. Over time, she becomes numb to the pain, but tries to comfort the other women, telling them they will survive. However, the violence grows worse, and Anona reaches her limit. After one especially cruel attack, she and another woman, Barbel, go back to Major Andrei, begging him to stop the soldiers. He refuses, saying the Germans did worse things to the Russians during the war. Despite being rejected, Anona doesn't give up. She goes to Lieutenant Anatol for help. He agrees to protect her, but only if she serves him later. Feeling she has no choice, Anona agrees, hoping this will stop the abuse from the other soldiers. That evening, Anatol invites Anona and some other German civilians to a party with his fellow soldiers in an apartment they took over. As they drink and talk, Anona and Anatol have a light conversation, giving her a rare moment of relief. But when the night ends, Anona knows she must keep her promise to the lieutenant. After everyone goes to bed, she fulfills her agreement with him. The next day, Anona goes back to her apartment and is surprised to see Major Andrei waiting for her. She avoids him, still upset that he ignored her pleas for help earlier. Trying to make up for it, Andrei orders one of his soldiers to bring water and soap for her. When the soldier, Masha, delivers the soap, she angrily throws it at Anona's feet and tells her that Berlin now belongs to the Soviets. Later, Andrei speaks to Anona privately. Thinking he wants to harm her like the others, she quietly undresses. But when Andrei sees the bruises on her body, he looks shocked and leaves without saying a word. As days pass, the abuse continues. Major Andrei feels guilty about the suffering of the German women, but does not have the courage to stop his men. Meanwhile, Anona writes in her diary about her experiences. She describes Anatol as a gypsy who comes and goes, offering no safety or stability. One evening, Andrei and some of his soldiers bring a rare meal to the widow's apartment. The Germans and Soviets eat together, sharing an uneasy moment of peace in the middle of the war. But this peace is broken when Lieutenant Andropov and his men arrive. Looking for a German thief, they accuse a German of stealing food and believe he is hiding upstairs. Anona denies this, but the soldiers continue searching. In truth, a young German soldier is hiding in the penthouse with the Silesian girl Anona helped earlier. To scare the civilians, one Soviet soldier begins beating an old man. Angry Major Andrei stops the soldier and beats him in return. His anger grows until he almost kills the soldier. After the situation calms down and the soldiers leave, Andrei seeks comfort from Anona. He holds her tightly, showing that he has become attached to her. After Andrei leaves, Anona quietly goes to the penthouse to warn the Silesian girl about the search. To her surprise, she finds a young German soldier hiding there. He has chosen to stay hidden instead of escaping to Siberia with his fellow soldiers. Unsure of what to say, Anona stays silent and walks away, deciding to keep his secret safe. In the following days, Major Andrei visits the apartment more often. He protects the residents and spends time with them, growing closer to Anona. He shares personal details about his life, including his bank account, passport, and family. However, Anona continues her secret meetings with Anatol. This troubles her deeply, as she fears that if Andrei finds out, it could put her life in danger. Each day becomes a struggle for Anona, trying to survive while hiding the truth. One evening, as Anona returns from fetching water, she meets her old friend Elka, who has just come back to town. They are overjoyed to see each other. Anona brings Elka to meet the other residents of the apartment. The women spend the day sharing stories about their experiences with the Soviet soldiers. In a strange way, they bond over these stories, even joking and laughing about how they've managed to adapt and survive. A few days later, a German artillery general arrives with shocking news. Adolf Hitler has committed suicide, and Germany has lost the war. He orders all remaining German soldiers to surrender, admitting that fighting further is pointless. For the Soviet soldiers, this news brings great joy. They celebrate in the streets, singing their national anthem and rejoicing in their victory. The Soviet soldiers who often visit the apartment return, bringing food and gifts to celebrate. Major Andrei plays a soft melody on the piano, filling the room with a rare moment of calm. Later, he goes to Anona's room to speak privately. During this quiet moment, Andrei confesses his feelings for her. He asks her to go with him to Russia, to start a new life together. Anona is touched, but does not give him an answer right away. Meanwhile, a drunken Soviet soldier goes to the penthouse and tries to attack the Silesian girl. The young German soldier hiding there tries to protect her, and fires a shot, but he misses. The Soviet soldier fights back, and throws the German soldier from the top floor, killing him. The noise draws everyone in the building to the stairway, where they see the tragic scene. The Silesian girl, in anger and defiance, shouts her loyalty to Hitler. The Soviets immediately execute her. The soldiers, now on edge, demand to know who owns the penthouse. Anona steps forward and admits that the penthouse belongs to her. Lieutenant Andropov demands that Major Andrei punish her, but Andrei refuses, even when Andropov threatens to report him. It's clear that Andrei is willing to risk everything to protect her. Despite the recent violence, the soldiers continue celebrating Germany's defeat. Major Andrei, however, becomes more upset with everything happening. Later, he finds Anona in her room with Anatol. To her surprise, Andrei doesn't get angry. He calmly tells Anatol to leave. Afterward, Andrei asks everyone to gather in the living room to celebrate Hitler's death with drinks, songs, and dancing. Despite the tension, the group begins to relax, and even the civilians join in the celebration. When the party ends, Andrei speaks to Anona privately again. He asks her to come to Russia with him to start a new life. But Anona declines, reminding him that she still has a husband who might come back. Hurt, Andrei prepares to leave, but Anona stops him. In a tender moment, she kisses him. They spend the night together, showing that her feelings for Andrei have grown stronger despite the difficult situation. The next day, Anona visits her neighbor Ilsa Honk and discovers a tragic scene. Ilsa's husband has taken his own life, unable to cope with Germany's defeat. Anona tries to comfort Ilsa, but her grief is too deep and she remains distant. Feeling overwhelmed, Anona decides to look for Major Andrei. She rides through the ruined streets on a bicycle but cannot find him. Saddened, she returns home and is shocked to see Lieutenant Andropov there with her husband, Gerd. Andropov hands her a note from Andrei, explaining that he has been sent to another location because of the incident with the soldier. After Andropov leaves, Gerd confronts Anona, angry and hurt. She tries to explain what happened and gives him her diary, asking him to read about the suffering she endured since the Soviets came to Berlin. She hopes he will understand her choices for survival, but Gerd refuses and calls her a disgusting woman, before turning away, filled with disappointment. Determined to see Andre one last time, Anona goes to the military camp. She finds him and feels sad about his departure. She thanks him for protecting her and treating her with respect when others didn't. They hold hands briefly, silently expressing their emotions. They wish each other well, knowing they may never meet again. When Anona returns home, she finds Gerd destroying the apartment in anger. She stands silently, watching the man she once loved break everything. She doesn't stop him, knowing there are no words to fix their broken relationship. A few days later, Gerd leaves without saying anything, disappearing from her life. Anona doesn't know where he went or if he will ever return. In the final scene, it is revealed that Anona's diary was published in Germany in 1959. However, many people rejected it, calling it shameful for German women. This upset the author so much that she refused to let it be printed again during her lifetime. To this day, Anona's true identity remains a mystery, leaving only the painful truth of her story behind. Her story was published but quickly silenced. The world wasn't ready for her truth, but now you've heard it. What would you do in her place?